Welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. As you can see, I have Alicia Boateng with me with Alicia Boateng Designs. Alicia, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I tell you, if you haven't met her, I actually met her through her work first. And you know I am about showing your work. But her work kept coming up on my feeds, my social media feeds. I was like, wow, these are amazing. And then I saw an article where I was like, wow, she's from South Florida. And I go, well, that's where I am. So I was like so excited to learn. In fact, that day I went ahead and found you on LinkedIn so I could connect with you. But then now we're connected. So I'm so excited to talk with you and learn.
Thank
Will you
you.
tell these fine people what I'm talking about?
I'll show them a little peep.
Oh, please hold that up higher. That is
So this
amazing.
is her name is Esperanza. Every year I have a girl of the year. And this is this year's girl of the year. Her name is Esperanza, which means hope in Spanish. And it's also my great grandmother's name. And, I always, all my cups that I've done throughout the years, the limited edition ones, they always have a meaning, right? And so last year was grace because I felt that we needed to tackle 2023 with much grace. And this year is hope because hope is one of the things you should never lose.
Mm.
And so I thought she's beautiful, she's dazzling, she's definitely going to make your morning, so why not name her Hope? And that's why her name is Hope.
I that is what caught my attention. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the feed, and I see this cup, and I think it was Maya Angelou
Yes.
that you had done, and we'll show some of those pictures in just a second. But that's what caught my attention. I thought, golly, I said, this is amazing. It was so smart. And then, but you know what? Also, because I'm also I have my own line of greeting cards, and
Mm-hmm.
it's handmade as well. And I go, the first thing that caught my attention was, wow, that's a lot of work. The detail, and and I was like, wow, that's a lot of work. And I was like, but so creative. What led you to do that in the first place?
Well, behind a good product is always a good story, right?
Yes.
So I have to thank my obsession with coffee. I have been obsessed with the same coffee brand for 32 years. And that is really what made me focus on the coffee cups. I was a wedding and event planner for over 20 years. I've
Wow.
been in the hospitality industry for a long time. And when I met my husband in 2014, he's like, okay, that those are way too many long hours. We are not doing this. So thankfully I had to, shift and pivot in my career, which I was very glad to do so because after over 20 years of doing such laborious work, it was definitely time for a change. So we went into real estate. So 2014 we met, we got married, we went into real estate, and then in 2019 he, for my birthday, bought me a Cricut machine. So if you don't know what a Cricut machine is, it cuts vinyl. And I wanted to put vinyl on everything. If you move, you have vinyl. If you breathe, you have vinyl. And so, of course, I started creating all these beautiful decorations and so forth. 2019, later on in the year, we decided we're going to open up a pop-up shop at our local mall. And so I had spent all these weeks and months prepping all these gorgeous holiday decorations and so forth. However, 2 weeks before we were going to open up the pop-up shop, we had already made the announcement.
Huh?
2 weeks before, I decided, you know what? I'm having coffee with my husband. And I said, if my coffee cup was as enriching as my coffee,
Mm.
because I got him to like my coffee too.
Absolutely. That's how I am with creamer. I hooked people on my creamer. It's so sad.
So I made that statement to him, and then immediately I grabbed the first sheet of paper that I found, and I started writing down how I wanted my coffee cup to make me feel, which you don't really, a lot of people don't necessarily take the time to think that way. However, again, my obsession with coffee takes it to the next level. So I wrote down how I wanted my coffee cup to make me feel. I had some, little stones and just like a coffee cup from the dollar store that I had purchased, and I started decorating it
Mm.
according to how I wanted to make me feel. And I posted it on social media. And then 2 weeks later, we open up the shop. So for the first 2.5 weeks of opening up the shop, I had anywhere from 5 to 7 people coming on a daily basis asking me about the cup. And so, as in branding, as you know, they tell you what they want, right? It's not what you want, it's what they want.
Hmm.
And so, after almost 3 weeks of having people coming to me asking me for the cups, I realized, okay, I need to sell all these decorations that I just spent all these months doing, finish that, and focus on the cups. And that has brought us to where we are today.
Well, as you can see, here are some of the cups that she has created. And there is that Esperanza
Yes.
cup, as you mentioned. Um, and even the one that I mentioned to you, which was, she's kind of holding it
Oh,
here,
yes.
but the
Maya
Maya
Angelou.
and yes. And so I see you have so many different inspirers.
I
Uh,
do. I have different collections. Shirley Chisholm is part of the Black Excellence collection, and that is a limited collection that honors African American women of history every
mm,
year. So every year it comes, I come up with a new cup. I inaugurated that collection with Madam C.J. Walker
mm.
because I can relate so much to her. I would definitely be on my deathbed asking my husband, what cup are we going to make next?
You
Just like
know,
she was so preoccupied with what shampoo she was going to make next and so forth.
I well, yeah, I saw a documentary on her,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
it was incredible. I was very glad to actually learn about her life a little bit. I'm going to keep scrolling. This is I'm
Sure.
we're live right here on her website, so I'm just scrolling down. You've got Crusader here, just I just love them. And as
Thank
you
you.
said, because when you wake up in the morning, I think that's you on. I was going to ask you about that, but you can tell me that in a minute.
Yeah.
There you go. Some of
So
these other legends.
I started with Madam C.J. Walker, and then the following year, 2022, was Maya Angelou.
Mm,
I can certainly relate. All these women that I'm highlighting, especially within the Black Excellence collection, have definitely resonated with me at one point in my life. Maya Angelou, I consider her to be like the grandmother that I never really knew,
mm, okay.
just because of her wisdom. And so, definitely, Maya Angelou has definitely been one of my most popular cups. To the extent where Whoopi Goldberg actually has a cup. And so again, that's definitely one of the cups that I keep bringing back because she's very, very beloved. Uh,
Yes.
2023, I did the Harriet Tubman.
Yes, I see that.
And my reasoning behind that was resilience. Resilience and perseverance. She never gave up.
Mm.
She had a goal, she had a dream, and she wanted to make sure that she fulfilled it. Um, and then, so this year I have Shirley Chisholm, which is very appropriate because it's an election year. And I figured, of course, we're going to empower women. And
Back to that one.
um, so that is why I chose Shirley Chisholm this year.
I tell you, I mean, you can scroll through and, take a look, go to her website. There's a honey bunny.
Yes, he is very much co-founder of my company.
Uh-huh.
He is my negotiator behind the scenes. I'm more the creative mind. He's definitely the negotiator and the uh, analyst of the company.
Keeps it level.
Oh
Keep
yes, he reminds me to keep my feet on the ground.
don't make 300 designs in 1 year, which
Exactly.
or don't share them all.
Exactly.
We can't keep
Exactly.
up.
Hmm.
I love that. Like I said, these designs, they kept popping up in my feed,
Mm-hmm.
And oh, they're so beautiful. Um, oh, I thought I had another one. Another oh, maybe that's what I think I had clicked view all, I think originally. So you could really scroll down and just see more. There's so many more on
Mm-hmm.
here.
If you go to the top where it says shop all,
Aha.
that that gives you a drop down, and that gives you all of the collections that I have. The original is the Afro Glam collection. That's how it started. And then I incorporated different other collections.
Oh, it's so fun.
Hmm.
But you could do this all day. Might I ask you? I'm over here and I'm scrolling along and looking and
Hmm.
just to give you an idea, just to tease you a little bit. But I see this young lady's praying, and I know that's a big part of your
Yes,
your
absolutely.
background.
Yes, God is a huge part of my life, of our foundation, of our family foundation. Um, when I was younger, I had a friend of mine that was very devoted to God at a very young age, and I always questioned that. And I said, why does she love God so much? Why can't I find that love and that peace and that tranquility that when she speaks about him? And it wasn't until much later in my life where I met my husband and we started going to church as a family. And I was born and raised Catholic. However, with all due respect, I did find that the Catholic masses that I went to were not as fueling as I needed them to be, right? And so we started going to different churches just to see which one we felt the most comfortable with, and we came across Calvary Christian, and we just felt at home. And I will tell you that for the first year that we went, it was like the Holy Spirit was cleansing me. I would cry the minute I would get off the car to the minute I would get back into the car, and I couldn't explain it. My husband's like, what is wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know if it's like overjoyed that I'm here. I don't know if this is God, his way of welcoming me and reassuring me that this is where I belong. And once I had a clear vision of that and a clear understanding, and I listened to God's whispers, then I just allowed him to take over. And he's given me and blessed me in ways that I would never have imagined.
Thank you for sharing that. So tell me, Alicia, what do you want people to understand about the work you put into it, or just, what do you want them to understand most about why you do what you do?
For me, it's important that they understand that this is not just a regular cup. This is way beyond it, and it's beyond just a vessel for you to put your liquid in. You know what I mean? It's beyond that. It's a vessel that empowers you. When you look at it, it makes you feel beautiful. And the reason why I did it, so that it's not microwave safe and that it's not dishwasher safe, for two reasons. Number one, not microwave safe because it forces you to drink your coffee or tea within 10 minutes, which is more than enough time if you're on the run. It's more than enough time to just sit there and recite your affirmations, which for me are so powerful and so important. It gives you time to just stop. We all live in such a fast-paced life that this allows you to just stop whatever's going around, take your coffee, take your tea, enjoy it, clear your mind, and get ready for the day. So that's the reason, number one. Number two, not dishwasher safe because while you're washing it, although it may take you a minute or two, you're doing the same exact thing. You're washing it and you're saying, this cup is so beautiful. I'm going to have a beautiful day, blah, blah, blah. However your affirmations are.
Yeah, because they're going to appreciate it. Because it's,
Absolutely.
I understand. That's why I was saying when I first saw them on my feed, I was like, wow, I could see the time you took
Hmm.
um, to place each one. It's, people say, oh, I could just, do that. No. I
Well,
can look at
listen,
that.
I will say there are many talented artists out there in the world that can recreate this. I'm not the one. I would never take full credit for coming up with the vinyl cutout of it, because I didn't come out with that. However, the designs and the color schemes are mine, and that is copyrighted. However, again, the cutout of the vinyl is not my design. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that.
No problem. I'm saying if it doesn't come with numbers, like when you paint, just count me out.
Well,
And
I always say, it has my logo. I don't know if you can see it. It's got my
yes,
logo in the back of the
uh-huh,
cup. So if you do come across another cup that looks similar and it does not have my logo, then it is not my product.
right, right. And I tell you, so I would imagine that because you put so much time into not only the design, but that the cup itself is something that is durable as well. You know, that's the one thing I know. Even with my handmade cards, everything about it is going to last. And I laugh
Mhm.
because, and this is just something that if you know me and you've been watching Newsworthy stories, you would understand. I don't wear my hair down very often. And so I had to get my hair done really the second time in 6 months, and before that was like before COVID. So, and I say that why? Because she has one of my framed cards still in her, the hairdresser hairstylist has this framed card that I made for her like almost 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And so I laughed and I said to myself when I was just there a week ago, and I was like, wow, I said it's the same, and it's durable, it lasts. And so
Absolutely. I was very particular when I selected the design of the cup. I wanted it to have that curvaceous curve because I'm a glamorous girl.
that's right. Curvy, curvy.
So
What?
it represents, my curves. I definitely wanted it to be sturdy. I wanted it to be a big cup because I usually drink in big cups. So there's a lot of me in each and every of these cups.
Mm, wow. It's just I love them. And so I was so happy when Alicia responded or reacted to something I posted the other day, because then I was like, oh gosh, she just responded to something. I'm gonna go connect with her, you know, because not only here, but I mean, you've been getting incredible exposure with these masterpieces that you've created. Can you talk about some of the network exposure
Absolutely.
what that was
Absolutely.
like?
So I credit that to my background in wedding and event planning. When I started doing wedding and event planning, I was 18 years old when I started, and when I formalized the company, I was 21, and that was back in 1997. And so back then, the resources were not as available as they are right now. And it was definitely a little bit more of a challenge when it came to marketing. Back then, it was known more as marketing rather than branding, as it is now.
Mhm.
And so I needed to figure out a way. Number one, I needed to act older than I was, because I knew from a very early age that I wanted to work with the affluent market. And in order for them to trust a 21-year-old with that type of money, I needed to act older. I needed to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, and so forth. So the marketing that I did back then was totally different than what a regular 21-year-old would look to do, right?
Mm.
And so that everything that I learned throughout the year, I applied it to Alicia Boating Designs. So I knew that when I started Alicia Boating Designs, it was not going to be just a regular website. It was going to be a spectacular website that had professional pictures. I wanted to make sure that my message was clear enough so that when you are looking through the pictures, you know exactly which one you like. It tells a little bit about each cup, and if there's something that relates to you with the cup, then automatically that message has been clear, and it's made your shopping easy, right? And so when I started building relationships with editors and publishers and so forth, that's one of the things that they would comment on, the fact that my product was relatable. My product is definitely handmade and unique, because although they all look the same, as far as like designs and so forth, they may look the same, they're actually all very different, because there's no way that I can place the same stone on each cup every single time. So in essence, if you're ordering a pack of 12 cups, each 12 cup is going to be different in that
Right, right.
arena. So yeah, that's how, again, I went in knowing that I wanted it to have a different spin, and I really wanted the message of empowerment to come through. So that was, through building relationships with publishers and editors and um, producers.
Yeah.
That is how I have been able to get my products onto the Today Show. I've been on the Good Morning America. I've been on local TV. And what I love to call my Academy Award was being on The View.
Oh, I mean, I've seen you, and I've seen you, and I was like, "Oh, there she is," and I've been applauding you, like I said, because you're from South Florida, and it's just nice to see you succeed, at something so beautiful, as well. And I have to tell you, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's probably asked you this. When I see this, and I think of, say, my own mother, right? And I'm thinking, can you use a picture of her? Or do you ever do that where someone says, can you put my mother's picture or somebody else like that? Do you do something like that? Or would
I
that be
I do
tremendous?
custom ones. I do more of like the logos, custom work. As far as the silhouette of the women, I like to stay within what it is that I have.
I see. I gotcha. Yeah, because I was like, that would be probably very hard to do, but I could see that because that's who I was thinking I would get the cup for in the first place.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, my mother would love this. And I mean, that's exactly what kept every time I saw, I was like, I need to go onto this site and see it.
Hmm.
Now I'm kind of there already, right?
Yes.
So you can't go wrong with this gift ever. I think people will hold on to it, and how empowering to give to young people in your life as well. Maybe the maybe not the coffee cup. We don't want to drink coffee at 10 necessarily. Some generations, yes, but
But I
um,
will say, I will mention also that these sororities have really, like, for example, Tracy is part of, not as part, but she represents the AKAs.
okay.
I have Osceola, which represents the Deltas.
Hmm.
I have Mary Lou, which represents, I believe it's, don't kill me because I'm not in a sorority. I want to say
Vedas.
Vedas. Yes.
Those
my
are the
husband, my husband is a Kappa, so he's the one
okay.
that introduced me to all of that.
Well, I didn't know fraternity from sorority, so that's how bad it was when I went to college. And I was like, I was like, is it a fraternity or sorority? They're like, just look at me like with vicious. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't grow up. I was a military kid. And so
Okay.
we lived overseas a lot, and my parents didn't really go to college, in the beginning. They went
Mhm.
later, but not when they were, when I was little. And
Right.
so they went as adults. And so I didn't know. I had no clue. But boy, when I saw my first step show, I was done. I was like, what is this? This is
It was
amazing.
exciting, huh? I bet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was exciting because I had never seen anything like that. But just, the camaraderie and everything. But I just want people to know that you're here, and I would like, I've been scrolling this along the bottom, but how's the best way for people to contact you, connect with you, and any
I
last
try to make
words?
myself very available, especially to my customers. And so, email is always a great way to connect with me. Also, Instagram. Although I do prefer email, just because you'll get a more personalized response from me. If they want to call me, I mean, I have people that call me on the phone and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm speaking to the Ali." I'm like, I am not the Alicia Boateng. I'm just Alicia Boateng. But yes, I do answer my phone.
Well, that's great.
So yeah, they can reach out to me, aliciaboating.com or alicia@aliciaboating.com, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
All right. Well, it is such a pleasure to meet you. You know, eye to eye at least. One day
Yeah,
we'll meet face to face.
absolutely.
But just looking forward to sharing, more of what you do and just hearing, how you're going to use them. I'm looking forward to whatever collection you put out.
Yes,
Be
I
watching.
will say I'm not going to mention what it is, but I do have another one because I do have a Latina collection
Oh,
honoring my own heritage, and so that one we came up with it last year, and that was Celia Cruz.
mm.
And this year, I have another amazing woman that I'm honoring for the upcoming Hispanic Heritage Month. So stay tuned.
Oh, well, you have to tell me so that I can say it. You know,
Listen,
breaking
if
news.
I tell you, I don't know. I don't know.
Don't tell me now. If you tell, when it comes out, you have to give us a heads up
Absolutely.
so we can
Absolutely.
hit some breaking news there, with
Absolutely.
Alicia.
What I can say is that she was definitely ahead of her time, very empowering woman, and at the end of the day, she didn't really care what others thought. She wanted her to get her expressions and her emotions out there, and she did it with a bang.
Wow. I'm excited. Well, thank you so much for joining Newsworthy
Thank
Stories with Jack and
you.
Jimenez, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.